I have a question for you. So I get a lot of comments on my channel about that because I'm a pre-tribulation rapture person, that, the pre-tribulation rapture is what a lot of folks do not believe. So for this video, I want to ask a serious question. How do you prep for the tribulation? I am sympathetic to the prepper movement because biblical prophecy aside, we see economic catastrophes heading our way. We see inflation heading our way. There's always wars and rumors of wars. All these things that Bible prophecy says will come. But how do you prepare? And, I always kind of leaned a little bit more on the prepping side than not. But then I got a job that had me traveling. Like I was a 200 to 250 night a year in a hotel guy. And, something that I thought about was, what's the likelihood I'm going to be home when the poop hits the fan, so to speak. So, I do have preparations for, short-term survival. And I've watched shows like on National Geographic's Doomsday Preppers and stuff like that. And when I look at the end times, I don't even know how to begin to prepare for something like the end times. That show Doomsday Preppers, one of the biggest things, because they would, kind of go through things and, of course, the people would always say, I haven't shown these people everything because I don't want people to know. But a couple things were made clear to me watching that show. One, the likelihood of you being able to survive and prep enough individually, or maybe just one or two families, to survive any of the number of things that could cause societal collapse is it's going to be difficult. And one of the biggest things they always ran into was the ability to store and have access to fresh water. And we know that during the tribulation, that a third of the waters are going to be turned to blood and made bitter, and so you've got to have this water bottled up and stored already. You can't rely that you've got a stream on some acreage of property that you're going to hopefully defend. Our beloved president actually made a comment a couple years ago. I am a pro Second Amendment guy, but he made a comment. A lot of people didn't like it, but it is a true comment. He said, people like me say that the Second Amendment was originally intended by the founders to protect us from a out of control government. But like the president said, what are we going to each buy our own F-16? We live in a day and age when our founders founded this country. It was a country where the weapons of a warrior and the weapons of a farmer were on par with each other. We live in a time where if it comes down to military conflict, or we're fighting against a military conflict, we don't stand a snowball's chance. If we're on the wrong side of that. The Second Amendment was also there to help us protect the country. I think of movies like Red Dawn from the 80s with Patrick Swayze, not the bad remake that they did with Tom Cruise's son. But, in a situation like that, you could do some guerrilla warfare tactics and stuff, but, I don't know that the tribulation is going to be like that. I don't know that there'll be big swaths of places we can hide. So I don't know how to prepare for the tribulation other than this one thing. The only thing I know that I can depend on is Jesus, and I can depend on Christ. So if me and other pre-tribulation people are wrong, the only prepping we can do is prepping that we've got the right relationship with Jesus, that we have a relationship with Jesus that can sustain us through a time such as has never been nor ever will be on the face of the earth. Because if we're here for the tribulation, most likely we're going to die. We're going to be killed, or we're going to compromise our faith. So it requires us to have a strong faith in Christ to endure whatever comes our way. I hear about the martyrs who were led into Roman Colosseums, and something. And the older I get, I can understand the mindset a little more. When I was a younger man, and I'm a military veteran, I'd hear these stories of martyrs being led into Colosseums and put up against gladiators, and they wouldn't fight back. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm picking up rocks, I'm throwing dust, I'm doing anything I can do, but that is not what we're called to do, Christians. Christ isn't looking for an army, in the let's fight and beat everybody up, sense. He wants an army of folks to go out and tell others about him. But, we can't force people to follow Christ. Christ doesn't force himself on us. We can't force Christ on other people. So I will say that, that's the only preparation that I know, because if the tribulation happens and we're here for it, who knows where you're going to be? I mean, here in America, all it takes is, someone declaring martial law, and, we can maybe think and hope that we can trust on our Supreme Court and other folks to stand in the way and stop an out of control thing from happening. But we've seen over the last 10, 15 years, the executive branch has a lot of power. In fact, I was kind of stagnant on this channel for a couple years. It was because of all the January 6th and all the fallout from all that stuff. I didn't want to get lumped in with any of that. So, we need to, we need to trust Christ to protect us, come what may. And we have no guarantee that things are going to remain tomorrow as they are today. Like I said, your life that you know and you live today can be over in a moment. And I don't mean that you've died. I mean, the right people making the right decisions. We had an example almost a little over 3 years ago that showed how quickly things can change. And I think when the tribulation happens, it can happen that quickly. So I don't, just like as a pre-trib rapture person, I would never tell a person like, oh, the rapture's this close. If you've got money and savings, go ahead, quit your job, do whatever few things you want to do here on this earth, because we're out of here in, 2 weeks. I would never do that. I would say the same thing, for the person who thinks there is no such thing as the rapture, or that we're going through some part of the tribulation. I wouldn't spend humongous amounts of money prepping for something, because the tribulation, it's not like Noah's Ark. I don't think we can grab enough stuff to carry with us to help us survive that. There will be people who survive the tribulation. God will be the one that's looking out for them and protecting them. So it's God we must put our trust in. So, but I'd be interested in comments like, if you believe we're going through the tribulation, what kinds of things should people be doing physically to prepare? What is the preparation? Because I get the comment a lot that, you know, I'm deluded, we're believing a fairy tale. So tell me, what do we do to prepare for this time that we all agree is coming? We're just arguing over, do some of us get out? Do some of us not? And I know the big argument is that people like me, oh, we're weak Christians, we're going to cave under the pressure. But I would say, none of us know what we're going to do until we're put in that situation. Until the guy's standing there with the gun to your spouse's head, saying, "Denounce Christ, or I'll pull this trigger," and that your spouse is looking you in your eyes with tears. Are you going to are you going to be strong enough? I mean, Peter, man who walked with Christ, people saw him around. Hey, aren't you that guy that aren't you one of his disciples? I don't know what you're talking about. Denied Christ 3 times. Even Peter's faith wavered. And I would be willing to bet a lot of us, we don't have the faith of Peter. I don't care how strong of a Christian you are. Because remember, Peter was the one who, and his impulsiveness helped him a little bit. But if you remember, Peter was the one that saw Jesus walking on the water, and instead of saying, "All right, Lord, come on over," what's the first thing Peter says? "Well, have me come out to you." And he starts walking on the water. Then he looks around, and then, doubt starts to creep in. He starts to sink, and Christ saves him. I'll be honest with you. I was in the Navy. I've been out to sea. I don't know if I saw Christ walking on the water, my first reaction would be, "Well, oh, you're walking on the water, Lord? I'd like to try that too." Be like, I'm good, especially if I'm in a heavy storm. So, keep that in mind. So what do we do to prepare? What is it that us pre-tribulation rapture people are missing? What is going to make us more susceptible to falling victim or losing our salvation, or whatever the case may be? What is it that we're not doing that you think we should be doing? Till next time, have a great day.